You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
From the AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's WWE NXT After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's WWE NXT After Show.
I took a kick.
And we're on.
And we're on. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another NXT AfterBuzz After Show. I am your host, Ryan Clum. With me, like always, is the very beautiful Catherine Kelley. How are you?
Catherine today.
Catherine,
So
today you're Catherine. Today will be Catherine. And unfortunately, Alex Kozlov is not with us today. He is in Japan for the, I believe it is the Super Juniors Tag Tournament.
Oh, they're doing it again?
For
All
New
right.
Japan. They do every year. So
Good.
he is there for the next 2 weeks. So he will not be with us. But with us is Championship Wrestling from Hollywood's own the Hobo.
Happy to be
joining
here.
us.
Happy to be here. Thank
With
you for inviting
a
me.
little owie on your head
Well,
there. It looks pretty fresh.
There's always a story. I was stuck in City of Industry today
Yes.
at the around the Frito-Lay plant,
Okay.
and I had to fight a man for a ride on an empty Doritos truck to get here today.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and in the course of everything, boom, busted wide open.
Well, we're very glad to have you here with us
I'm
today.
happy to be here in one piece, more or less.
And we also have, we'll get to this right away and just show quickly, we have a nice little property of WWE Performance Center shirt that we're going to be giving away.
It's extra large.
It's extra large.
So
So
we have an extra large fan who wins it.
yes. So basically, the contest, what we're going to be doing is on Tuesday, I believe it is, WWE 2K14 comes out.
Right.
So when you get that in 2 weeks, 2 weeks from today, we will announce the winner, which is, I believe, the 7th. Yes, the 7th of November. So all you have to do when you get the video game, you can make, in the Create a Wrestler, make someone from AfterBuzz, anybody from any of the wrestling AfterBuzz shows. So Raw,
Anyone from Raw.
any of the regulars, no guests,
Oh,
Hobo.
dang it.
So basically, anyone from Raw, LaQuasto, Padgett, Dale, Cathy, Kelley, Christian Rosenberg, Rome, and Takawari from
There's a ton of
SmackDown,
people.
Tom, Scott, Gabby from Main Event, and myself,
Markia.
Alex Kozlov.
The list goes
Oh
on.
yes, Markia. So
Yes.
I think I got everybody. And you can do Phil Svitek too as well. Well, the COO of AfterBuzz. So what you do is make one of us, add some sort of silly gimmick, any sort of gimmick you wanna add. You can make Cathy, Cupcake Kelley, make them, make an
not a
entrance,
silly gimmick.
make an entrance, and send it to us. Make a little YouTube video, send it to us on Twitter, and in 2 weeks we'll announce the winner. And I'm sorry for all our peeps out in Europe, but this is for the continental United States only.
But you
because
should still do it,
You should,
because I think
yes,
it'll be
you can
a lot
still
of
do
fun.
it.
Please
But
send it.
anybody can send those
retweet
in.
my favorites,
Yeah,
so.
anybody can send them in. Cathy we'll all retweet the ones we like, but you are only eligible to win if you are in the continental United States, because I may have to pay for the shipping myself. And I'm cheap. So, anyways, so let's get to it. We had a video recap to begin with the telling us a little bit about the title match from last week and Corey Graves turning on Adrian Neville.
Yeah.
So we come out to Corey Graves on the mic, and he starts talking everyone's why he turned on Adrian last week. And out of nowhere,
Yep.
Adrian just blindsides him
Never
from
gets
behind.
the chance to explain his actions.
Nope.
Man, they're going in hot into this episode. They were really building
Yes.
Neville here with this whole package.
I didn't really get the whole, I was faking who I was before. This is really me, who I am in this suit. And I don't know.
Yeah, it was a little bit.
It
a
was
little bit different, but we'll see where they go with it. It's the
Sometimes
first
you
time.
don't have a reason, and you have to make up a reason, and the reason you make up is never good enough.
Yeah.
I feel like the reason
called
would be I
retcon.
was really mad that we were in this tag team division, and I felt like you didn't hold up your end. Like this
Right.
should be a partnership, and there were several times where I felt like I was, trumping you in this whole part. I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
That's a
Right.
good enough reason.
Well, he decided
know.
not to do the real work there
Right.
psychologically.
Yeah.
And,
Well, people don't always have good reasons in life for doing things. So, and sometimes what they say their reason isn't always the reason.
I'm really
so
a suit guy is your reason.
maybe he's not. Maybe that's an excuse that's not really the real reason.
I
Maybe
think
we
he's
need to
a
get
jerk.
deeper in. He is a jerk.
I'm not
yeah.
surprised about the heel turn. I mean, first looking at him, I'm going, this guy's a D-bag right off the bat.
Graves
He's a
is such a
D-bag
good
just
heel.
waiting to come into fruition.
Well, let's look at the match from last week. Neville was just getting pounded on. Graves comes in, comes back, locks in his hold. I think it was Rick Victor came in, hit him one time in the ribs, and he runs away and tags his partner, who is just beat to crap, and lets him take the loss, and then blames him for it. So, Corey Graves, I don't know that he has his head on straight.
I am really happy that this split happened because I feel like Graves on his own and Neville on his own are really strong
agree.
guys. So I really didn't feel like they needed to be in a tag team.
They were never a real solid. They were never a true tag team
Yeah.
to me.
Right.
They would average 2 to 3 tags a match, and that doesn't give you a long-term success in the tag division.
Right. You got to have that flow,
Right.
that connection with one another. And they were two singles guys who happened to be in the ring on one side at the same time.
Absolutely. So we get our first match of the night, which is Emma versus Sasha Banks, who is debuting her new jacket that Mr. Katz told us about when he was in a couple weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about the new stylish jacket.
She's got the boss necklace like Vicky Guerrero's cougar necklace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But wait, before that, we have the introduction of Tensai on commentary.
Yes. Oh, I was. I wrote this that on top. I was going to mention first thing. Thank you very much, Hobo.
You're welcome.
Tensai was there, looking very dapper in his suit.
Yeah, I think he looked really pretty good, and I think he sounded pretty good. It's funny for a guy who doesn't really cut a promo on a regular basis.
Right.
All of a sudden, he's sitting at the
Yeah,
table, and he's
they look
doing
great.
okay.
They had him
And
on
you
the
recognize that
pre-show.
guy, right? Because we saw that Tensai backstage at SummerSlam.
They had him on the pre-show for this past pay-per-view, right? So,
Yes.
I mean, I think they're kind of transitioning him into this. I don't know.
I think
what
they're trying a
doing.
lot of different guys out.
Yeah. I really like Alex Riley on commentary. I know a lot of people would rather see him wrestle, but I'm happy that we're seeing him in some
Yeah.
capacity. So
He's a quality guy on the mic,
Right,
in
and
that capacity.
I think Riley's more like the regular guy, and then Tensai's more someone like they're
rotating
bringing,
people.
they're trying all the different guys out. Just like anytime you see sports in football or in the UFC or baseball, they're always bringing different players in and out on those booths. So, and the WWE is so new at this right now is having these
just
guys in
lost
this
a guy
in this
last
role.
week,
so
so.
they're probably figuring out who the best guy is in that role right now. They're just trying a bunch of people out.
Yeah.
So, so we get Emma versus Sasha. Emma started off pretty hot working on that arm of yes, Emma started off working on the arm of Sasha. Eventually Sasha takes over and works that chinlock body scissors, which I like. She's been doing that quite a bit recently. That's a nice
And
hold.
they kind of kept going back to that. They kept working the hold. This was very, very, let's say, a European or Japanese style match where they actually managed to get the crowd going with a hold.
And she's been
just going back to
using
it.
that hold in other matches, so I've seen her do that before, which I definitely like. Little old school, little different style. That's one of the things I like about NXT is we get little different flavors sometimes.
Yeah.
Emma comes back, goes for the Emma lock. Summer jumps up on the apron. Paige comes down, pulls her off, which distracts Emma. Emma rolls up. Emma gets rolled up by Sasha, and she gets the win. Then Paige comes in afterwards, goes after Sasha, who ducks out, and Emma just eats it.
Hey, man, that happens. Just that moment of, I'm going to hit this guy, and the other guy moves, and you end up tagging the wrong guy. And I've
not
had
ballet.
that moment in the ring a few times myself.
It seems like there's a lot of tension between them that's been building up the last couple weeks, and I really feel like they're going
Paige and
to
Emma?
come to head-to-head. And I think that's because they want Emma to face Paige for the title.
Yeah. I mean, these are
this is just, it's building up and building up.
arguably the two top girls in NXT right now.
I think Emma technically is really sound.
She's very good.
Just watching her was amazing.
Yeah.
All of their girls are really good.
Yeah.
I also particularly liked when Alex Riley said that he had a crush on Emma, because even though it's kind of awkward for a commentator to say that, it really builds up the girl. Like,
Yeah, I thought it was good.
makes her more desirable.
I like that as well. Where you said he tries to DM her and she won't write back to him.
And even when she rejects him, it's really cute. Nah.
So that was good. So next we go. We get an interview with Bo from last week, and Bo says controversy on.
He rhymes
his win.
Just as good as Lil Wayne, I'd say.
He's still the champ, and that's all that matters. And he is going to be taking some time off here soon for the Bo Dallas versus the World Tour, and he is going to Bolivia to deliver 10,000 squirt guns to starving children.
Yeah. What a nice guy!
What a wonderful human being Bo
guy
Dallas
in that
is.
company, I swear.
I'm really glad that they addressed the controversy, because that wasn't really talked about last week, and it's something that we mentioned with the exposed turnbuckle.
Yes.
But
and Sammy brings up some other things later on.
I don't really feel like it was Bo's or Sammy's strongest promos. I just wish that they're really good. Like, I love Bo's new gimmick and Bo leaving and whatever else. I just wish it was a little bit more thought through. I feel like
these
they're
were a
all
little
very,
short.
spur of the moment things.
They haven't, correct me if I'm wrong, I haven't seen this style of promo, right? With the cameraman asking questions yet on NXT. Have we seen this yet?
We haven't seen it on NXT, but I think that they have put them online because they're supposed to be like WWE exclusives.
These make me think a lot of the Jason Hervey interviews on TNA, where he's just in the back on the camera and you hear his voice, hey AJ, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? And TNA has been doing those for a year. The companies always kind of take from each other. So I'm wondering if that's one of the things that they're like, oh, well, we can do that better. And they're working that on NXT. It felt like the same vibe to me.
TMZ-ish too.
And that's what TNA had been trying to do, like more reality type stuff and find their identity. And they were doing stuff similar to this.
I don't know if I like that, because it's not very reminiscent of sports broadcasting.
Yeah, it's more reality style.
Yeah.
Right. But,
catching them in the back, but
they haven't gotten rid of their interview stuff. They just decided to add this as a sort of a different way of doing things.
I know, but where in sports do you see that? Like, you always see after the game or in the locker room.
Wait 5 years, maybe.
Maybe that'll change.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it will, but I mentioned on Raw, I was talking to a former WWE writer a couple days ago, and he mentioned, like, a really good idea that he had, which I'm gonna throw out there, but like having the stats of the people below when they make their entrances, just like they do in UFC, and how that could add like this next level to, oh, you see that they've won this many championships, or they've been in the company this many years, what their weight
how many wins they have in a row, stuff like that. You can't really do one less record.
They do that on football, they do that on so many things, and I think that it could add a lot to, sorry to steal your idea, but like it could add a lot to
the problem you're gonna run into that with that is then the creative needs to kind of stick with what they put out there, and as we know, wrestling doesn't always, like, they'll put a guy in a title match that's lost 10 matches in a row. It makes no sense. But if you start to expose those and be like, he hasn't won a match in 10 matches, and all of a sudden he's in the title match.
You don't have to include those.
No, and I'm not saying it's a bad idea.
Like their stats.
I'm not just saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying I don't know that creative has enough discipline to do so to go with an idea like that.
I don't know if anybody's writing that stuff down, really.
Yeah. Yeah. I think TNA, when they were on Fox Sports Net, they tried some stuff with a ticker, and they did a little bit of that stuff, and it didn't really didn't really work as well.
One of their series ones.
They write down their build weight. They write down where they're from. They write even just those things.
Yeah.
Like that's how they do the college. NFL or whatever, they have like what college they went to, their stats,
it's not a bad
that
idea.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I kind of like it.
I like it.
True, but I don't know if they're going to bite.
Yeah,
no,
I just don't.
not.
Yeah, no, and like I said, I think it's the creative thing, which you kind of painting yourself into a corner a little bit with stuff like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, so next we see the Ascension taking on Casey, Marin, and Tommy Taylor, two of my personal favorite wrestlers, my personal favorite tag team. I have no idea who these guys are. I'm assuming.
I was gonna say. I was like,
Neither did anybody at the desk.
Wow, you know everybody. Don't I have no
I wrote
idea
down
who these guys are.
Ascension versus no names.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote.
No entrance.
I'm assuming these were extras, which I found out that they do actually bring extras into NXT. It's not just guys that are on the developmental roster that you're always seeing when they're in these type of roles. So
I think it's
they
smarter
actually
for
do bring
them.
some in.
It's smarter for them to bring in extras than it would be someone who might not be ready at the is in developmental.
Right.
That's not on NXT.
And you're getting a peek at
Because
some
then-
guys, and you never know who's gonna like jump up on the right. Like, wow, this guy's actually great. Let's
And
sign him.
you don't want someone who just got there to, then be a jobber for a little
Mm-hmm.
bit and then come back a month later and be great, because that wouldn't really make sense.
Right. Even though they seem to do that sometimes.
yeah.
Right. There are no real rules in the wrestling world. Nothing hard and fast. Everything's kind of soft.
Absolutely. Fandango is Johnny Curtis for a long time on WWE television, and it's just like, Johnny who?
Maybe he found his passion for dance and just decided to change everything. It's possible.
So this is basically an 80s squash match. There's not one offensive maneuver put on by the tag team of Marone and Taylor. In fact, Taylor never even gets into the match.
Right, there was
never
no
even
tag.
tags. I feel bad for him. I'm like,
Kinda, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you still want to get in the ring a little bit.
At least we know one guy can sell.
Yeah.
The other guy's just kind of sitting there and then gets kicked in the face.
Yeah, gets kicked in the face. That was it. They hit their high-low finisher, the Fall of Man, the Ascension win. These matches. People sometimes complain they don't like the squash matches, but they do have an effective a reason for them to build these teams and to highlight and showcase their movesets. Is essentially what that is.
It does make the Ascension look more powerful, but it also does seem like a time filler.
Yeah,
Sort of.
as long as you don't do too many things like this, you do them once in a while. I like them.
Yeah.
So I used to watch. That's all we used to get when I was a kid. It was on Saturday, Sunday morning. It was just squash matches. You had to pay to see the good stuff. So
The real entertainment value in this match, though, was the referee. Did anybody catch the referee?
No, I did not.
He was dead scared of the Ascension. His eyes,
That sells.
please
them.
leave the ring.
that's great. The Ascension's got to be ready, right? They got to be close to going up.
I mean, there are
don't
so
know.
many people on NXT that are close to going up.
They've been around forever. This gimmick has been around for years in different versions.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that they love the gimmick. They're just trying to find the right fit for the gimmick.
Yeah.
And I think eventually it will go to the main roster.
And I like this version of it. I like Rick Victor in there. I think I think they make a really good team.
I was thinking about it the other day that I kind of like having really good people. This is so selfish, not go up, because I feel like the quality of NXT is just so good and it's enjoyable to watch, and yeah, it's very selfish, but it's like having those bands, they go on MTV and then you never, I don't know.
Yeah.
Not
Are
the same
you going
quality
to turn on them if they do go to the big time?
I remember them when they were on Raw. They were on
Suddenly
NXT.
you're
Now
a
they
wrestling
were way better on
hipster.
I'll be like the
Really
hipster
sold
of
out.
WWE. Yeah, I was
like
a
my
fan of them
sister on
before they were
bands when
big.
we were kids.
That was me.
So we next see Sami Zayn in the back from last week. His interview talking about the loss. He said he didn't have a problem with the first restart of the match because it was very clear Bo's foot was on the ropes. It was the right call to make. Issue he has is it should have then been restarted after the exposed buckle as well. If we're being fair here, tit for tat.
Who can disagree with that statement?
And he says Triple H is now running the show from top to bottom. That includes NXT. He comes in, he puts his buddy JBL in charge. He says, it's not a conspiracy, but it is a hell of a coincidence.
Yeah, it certainly
All this
is.
stuff is going on. So Sami Zayn thinks there's a conspiracy to keep the title out of his hands. Compares himself a little bit to Dan O'Brien.
And
I
why not?
see a lot of similarities
are.
between them.
Yeah.
Oh, they've they've been in the ring several times.
They've been in indies for a really long time, but
Together,
I
yeah.
think they're so strong, both on the mic and in the ring.
Yeah. Charisma is
there's
off
a
the
group-
charts for both of them.
And I don't know how many people realize there is like a group of WWE and NXT guys who spent a long time wrestling all over the world each other. You know, you got Cesaro in there, Cassius Ohno, CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, Tyler Black, Seth Rollins is in there. There's probably 7 or 8, 9 of these guys that have wrestled each other for years and unbelievable matches all over the world. So
Just beneath the surface of this whole WWE thing is a real core of brilliant efficiency and wrestling skill that people should look into.
Yeah, it's funny as we talk about this great match Sami Zayn and
Anyone?
well, the one him and Cesaro had.
Okay,
I keep wanting to call him Claudio. Him and Cesaro had that 2 out of 3 fall match, and you know they did a lot of that stuff, crazy matches. The two of them back in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla days, and I mean you can go back and pick these guys out and see some really great stuff. Anyways, so we are next on to Renee's with JBL in the back.
I thought it was so funny, and this probably isn't the best from her, but she kept on trying not to laugh when JBL was like, "Oh, is that a WWE sanctioned
Is that
tank
an
top?
NXT issued tank top?" So he basically says Sami Zayn thinks the world and the universe and everything revolves around
Copernicus
him.
was wrong.
Yes, that was great. But the referee basically made a mistake. He had to, you know, they're doing what's right for business. Triple H runs a multi-billion-dollar company. He doesn't do things for personal reasons. He does what's best for business. And Sami Zayn will be from now on. He's gonna be taking a little time off, a little forced time off.
I don't like this.
Unless he wants to, call Mr. JBL and apologize to him, he can come back. But if that doesn't happen, Sammy's going to be out for a minute.
Yeah, and this is why JBL has.
I don't believe it personally.
Well, this is why JBL has had such a good run. He's so good on the mic, and he says exactly what he wants. And if you don't like it, you can just go to hell.
Yeah,
that's precisely what he brings to this table, is that hammer.
Yeah, and I love it. I mean, the things, asking Renee about the tank tops. Those weren't written down. Those are all him coming off the top of his head on the fly.
Yeah. He's a great authority figure,
He's great.
And I also don't know if I believe that we're not going to see Sami Zayn.
I don't believe that at all.
He might wrestle in his other gear.
I know. I was about to say Sammy wasn't supposed to be in the Bo Dallas Invitational and somehow was able to get in. So Sammy doesn't exactly care what the authority figures say. Yeah.
But I do agree. I like this storyline where they're incorporating it into what's going on the main roster right now. It's nice to see that crossover.
Right. The whole Rhodes family kicking Dusty out at first, and that whole made sense. And I like the fact that we've seen JBL sparingly. I like authority.
We've seen him a lot more than Dusty.
Right, we have, but still not every week.
Yeah.
I personally think they overuse the authority figure these days. I think it's a little bit of a throwback from the Attitude Era, and let's freshen it up a little bit. We don't need to see him all the time in weird, hokey segments that don't make any sense, that a general manager would never do. I prefer these old things like JBL coming out here, making sense, talking about the rules. I mean, what he said made sense in his own head. Even though you might not agree with him, it made sense in his own head.
Yeah.
So, moving on. We have the great CJ Parker taking on Alexander Rusev, who does not have Scott Dawson or Sylvester Lefort with him. He comes out by himself.
We do see a mysterious lady,
mysterious
aka
blonde
Lana.
woman. Yes. So, and we see CJ Parker comes out, and he still has Tyler Breeze's cell phone.
Yeah,
from last week.
I could not function without my cell phone for that long.
No, can you imagine Tyler Breeze? I mean, I don't think it's making phone calls. He can't help but take pictures. I bet he went and got some little disposable cameras and was taking pictures of himself until he got it back.
Or just got a mirror right there.
Exactly.
That's what I have on the back of my phone.
Rusev just attacked CJ from out of nowhere, and I mean, it's over from there.
This was basically a squash match.
It was. It wasn't. There was not one offensive maneuver from CJ.
No.
So the crowd was booing when CJ Parker came out. Like, is he unintentionally turning heel?
No, I think this is, we've talked about it before, but this is one of those weird crowds. It's where when you have the same crowd every week, they start to do weird things and cheer the heels and boo the faces.
I mean,
it just
Tyler
happens
Breeze,
anywhere.
His
Look
gimmick
at
is
Impact,
so over. So I think that since they've had this fight between them, building and building, that people love Tyler Breeze and they want to hate CJ Parker, even though he's supposed to be the face.
This really has NXT's audience has the feel of an indie audience because that's the way the indie fans get. They cheer the heels. They do everything that you're not supposed to do. You notice the Olay. They want to run the show. You notice the Olay chants. They're trying to get rid of those Olay chants. They will not get rid of those Olay chants because those are indie fans and they're doing that. And they are passionate.
Certainly are.
Yes. So Rusev just absolutely obliterates CJ. We get this mysterious blonde woman comes down in the middle during the match. He locks on the accolade and gets the quick tap out. This match was like 45 seconds. It wasn't very long at all.
No.
And then after we should first talk about Lana. She leaves. I mean, we don't really see any interaction between the two of them.
They don't talk about it at all.
We're going to be seeing these two together. She
smiles when Rusev wins. I love her a lot. She was one of the people that came in the same time as JoJo and Eva Marie.
From what I understand, she speaks like completely fluent Russian as well. So that's one of the reasons.
I know personally her real name is CJ, and she's an actress / dancer model as well. She was in a couple movies, friends with some pretty high A-listers, but she's a gorgeous girl. I spoke to her briefly at SummerSlam, and I'm glad that they're using her. I think she's going to be more in the manager role.
Yes,
so
absolutely is what it appears to be.
Rusev,
the valet role. Very interesting to see how this all works out. So during the break, we find out that Tyler Breeze came down to the ring while CJ was laying out, and not only took his cell phone back, but took a little souvenir from CJ and cut out a couple of his dreads. So, you don't take another man's dreads.
You don't take another man's phone. You said you wouldn't survive a week without your phone.
True.
What crazy thing would you do to the man who stole your phone? I think we're seeing that in action here.
Is this an appropriate punishment? Wait, do you think it's an appropriate punishment? Cutting out those dreads that take years and years and years.
That was an extension.
Oh, come on. No, it's all real. No, it was not. It was all
neon
real.
Colors, man.
He had 2-inch hair a year ago, and now he has 2-foot-long dreads.
Yes, it's all real.
Yeah. Okay.
It's all real.
Cool.
Everything is. I don't believe that.
And his mother's
Next thing you'll tell me there's no Santa Claus, Cathy Kelley.
Well, Santa's real. We all know that.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thank you.
My goodness.
So we come to our main event of the evening, which everybody is waiting for. That's Adrian Neville taking on his former tag team partner, Corey Graves, whose hair is not all slicked like he usually is, going with the dry hair look now. Bad guy, no grease in the hair.
Well, it's because he was faking who he was.
Faking who he was.
Right. Although he had a pompadour earlier in the night.
And he wore the exact same gear he's been wearing.
Yeah.
That was, he still looks like a hipster. Even his suit looked like a hipster.
Mm-hmm.
But how did Neville's trunks break? I missed that.
Oh, I don't know. They ripped at some point.
All of a sudden, I saw like this flap on the back.
Luckily,
big black spot. Like, what happened?
Yeah, luckily he was wearing Speedos or whatever it is underneath.
You learn these things. You mess up once, and then you go, well, I should wear something underneath so no one gets to see that again.
Yes. Yeah, I always wear something underneath.
Yeah.
So Neville out of the gates comes just flying across with a drop kick, and we're off to the races. Neville is just on fire. He sends out Graves out to the floor, hits that awesome corkscrew dive, which is
it's what he's good at. The man's bringing his strength to the table.
And eventually Graves actually starts to fight back a little bit. Does some really cool leg offense. Rolled through and stomped the leg down. Really started stomping on the hamstrings, which I was like, ooh, that's some kind of new looking stuff, which I thought was really, really cool. And then he cut him off. He hung up his foot on the second rope, spiked his knee into the mat. Some really devastating looking knee.
I mean, it's it was the story of the match. It was a man who came in with a plan to take the high flyer off his feet. You take a high flyer off his feet, you take away one leg, and you can't do a whole lot.
absolutely. And, going behind the scenes a little bit, impressed me with Neville because it's very easy to no-sell that leg in your comeback.
Exactly.
And he was driving off the right leg the whole time, sold that leg the entire comeback. Eventually goes up to the top, jumps off over Graves. Knee buckles, but he does get to roll up Graves. Graves kicks out, chops his knee out, locks in the Lucky 13, and Neville has nothing to do but tap.
Yeah, that was over.
Yeah.
That was it.
Good main event.
I was a little
Very
surprised,
good main event, yeah.
Actually. And the way it was just because it sort of ended so quickly, I was expecting maybe
It did end
another
really
comeback.
quickly, yeah.
Right, yeah, but I mean, it's straight into, Neville came back and straight into the tap out. So, and then a little curricular activity at the end. Graves attacks Neville on the outside, locks in the Lucky 13 out on the ramp, and we go off air.
Yeah.
Hey, another show in the books.
Another show in the books. Another really good NXT. Another solid show.
It
Definitely.
was jam-packed with a whole lot of stuff going on.
9 segments I had written down here. Well, if you count the video repack, 9, really 8, and then 4 matches.
I liked how many segments that they fit in, and it flowed so well.
Flowed really well.
Yeah.
Show went really fast. Yeah, I mean, I was looking after the Ascension. There were like 5 segments in. It was like 17 minutes into the show. I'm like, wow, we've done a lot in the beginning of this. So, anyways, just quickly, MVP of the show. Who stood out tonight?
I'm going to say Emma.
Emma.
I love Emma. Yeah.
Strange. I agree with you.
Oh.
Yes. She sort of came out to the ring, and I wasn't digging what she was doing. She's doing this weird sort of arm thing. I'm like, this is going to be terrible. And then all of a sudden, she starts to wrestle, and I go, oh, my, this is really something. Despite her goofiness, she's really solid deep down.
She used to wrestle Shimmer and stuff like that. So she wrestled around the India. She knows her stuff. So anyways, Cathy, Kelley, where can we find you?
What was your MVP?
My MVP. I had a co-MVP. I had Graves and Neville for the match. So,
all right.
Cathy, Kelley, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Catherine Kelley, and you can find me if you're watching live tonight. I will be on the Schmoes Knows podcast. So you can find that on the Toad Hop Network.
Awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
Mr. Hobo, where can they find you?
I'm on the Twitter at True Hobo, and I will be wrestling Sunday in Port Hueneme for Championship Wrestling from Hollywood.
Awesome. Excellent. And you can find me on Twitter at Cluminator. We will see you all next week. Thank you for joining us.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.